Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my favorite books. And my favorite books of any that I've read. I went through my Goodreads list a couple days ago, and on there I have 313 books that I've read. And I think that's all of them. I mean, I read a lot of books when I was a kid, and when I joined Goodreads, I had a hard time remembering all the books that I've read. So out of those 313, I have a list of 45 of my favorite ones that I want to mention to you. So now I'm not going to link all these in the description box. That would take way too long. However, I am going to show you the cover of each book, tell you the title, the author's name. So have a pen and paper ready. I'll try not to go, too fast. And then I'll give you the synopsis of the book and any story or anything that I can, as I'm shaking the camera, that I can remember for when I was reading the book. Now, these are not going to be in order of date or anything like that. I just have, a giant list here. Okay, Gone Girl is the very first book by Gillian Flynn. Here's the cover. This book was released in 2012 in June. Now, I distinctly remember when I got this book. First of all, I read the book, saw the movie, hated the movie. Maybe I need to watch the movie again. I don't know. So, my husband works for a wastewater treatment plant in our county. When this book was released, so 5 years ago, wait a minute, let me go back. Why can't I go back? Yeah, 2012. So almost, almost 6 years ago. He had to take what's called a short course, which is he had to go away for a week, like continuing credits kind of thing, right? So, the day that he left, this book came out. I already knew I was going to get it from seeing it pre-release, the description and all that. And you remember it was June, so it was nice outside. And I must have been slow with work that week. I literally sat outside on our back deck all day and read this book in one day. I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner outside and read this book. Couldn't stop reading. The book, if I remember, is in short chapters, so they go pretty quick. And they tell it in alternating viewpoints. They tell it from the husband's point and the wife's point. So, the premise is that it's a husband and wife. It's their 5th anniversary. She disappears. And he becomes suspect in her disappearance. But it's not quite what you think. And the book got so much notoriety. And what I really hate is I love the book. Love the book. Because you didn't know what was going to happen. And I think that's one part of seeing a movie when I've read the book. I already know what's going to happen. So it kind of ruins it. You know what I mean? All kinds of suspense books that were released after this book say, it's the next Gone Girl. It's just like Gone Girl. No, it's not. It's not. No, it isn't. Gone Girl is like Gone Girl. There's no other book like Gone Girl that I've come across. And I have read quite a bit. Okay, moving on because 45 books is going to take me a long time. The next book is The Keep by Jennifer Egan. And this book is pretty old. I'm searching for it on my iPad so I can show you yep. It was released in 2007. Wasn't even with my husband yet. I'm just going to flip it like this. The Keep by Jennifer Egan. One of the reasons why I love this book is it is a story within a story. I really love those. So, 2 cousins, here's the synopsis. 2 cousins, irreversibly damaged by a childhood prank, reunite 20 years later to renovate a medieval castle in Eastern Europe. the two cousins, wind up reenacting what happened. And it's catastrophic. It says, as the full horror of their predicament unfolds, a prisoner in jail for an unnamed crime recounts an unforgettable story that seamlessly brings the crimes of the past and present into piercing relation. Meaning, that story of the cousins winds up coming together with the story that the prisoner is telling in prison. So it really was a good book. It makes you wonder. I mean, I had questions like trying to figure it out. Couldn't figure it out. Really good. Really, really good. Okay, the next book, and the book that I used to say was my favorite book of all time, is called The Crimson Petal and the White by Michael Faber. Now, this book is about 800 pages. Okay, it was released in 2003. I'm trying to see how many pages it is because, I'm sorry, it's 922 pages. Biggest book I ever read. It did not seem like it was that long. It did not take me that long to read this book. It is about a prostitute in 1870s London. And one of her paramours, or Johns, or whatever you want to talk about, winds up getting her out of it and having him be a nanny in his home. And the results of all of that. Really, really good book. I mean, 922 pages is a commitment, let me tell you. I loved it, though. I really, really loved it. Yeah, really love that one. Okay, my favorite book of all time, of all the books I've ever read, is called The Ghost Writer by John Harwood. Oh, I didn't show you the cover, The Crimson Petal and the White. I'm going to show you now. There's the cover, Michael Faber. And yeah, it's going to turn me orange every single time I put my iPad up there. But okay. Favorite book of all time, The Ghost Writer by John Harwood. Book scared me. First of all, it's a ghost story, and then there are little ghost stories in it. Let me tell you, first of all, let me show you the cover. Looks creepy as hell. This book I read this book in 2011. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so the premise. This boy has a pen pal from when he's a kid. And he writes this pen pal throughout his whole life. I mean, throughout until he's an adult. And he wants to meet her. And within these letters, they tell ghost stories. And they're so good. The stories are so good. And it clearly delineates what's the novel and then what's one of the ghost stories. It's so good because they agree to meet, right? And as it gets to the point, oh my God, I'm on the edge of my seat. Now, I remember vividly when I read this book. I was with a previous boyfriend. I lived in an apartment, the top floor of a 3-story house. And, deadly quiet in my apartment. I'm the only one in there. I had a glass like this that had ice in it. All the liquid was gone. I was so engrossed in that book that when the ice melted and made like a clinking sound, I literally threw the book in the air. I was so that engrossed in that book. And I've read that book twice. I've never read a book more than once. That book I have read twice. That's the only one. So if you like good gothic, mystery, ghost stories, highly recommend that one. Favorite book of all time. Okay, another great book that was a show on Netflix last year, 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I love young adult books. I love good young adult books. I read this book also in 2011. Now that wasn't the original cover. Okay, here's the cover that they have now, because these are the characters in the Netflix series, which I loved it. Even though I knew it was going to happen, I loved how they did it. So, it's about a girl in high school, Hannah, who commits suicide. But before she commits suicide, excuse me, before she commits suicide, she makes these cassette tapes. She makes 13 of them. The 13 reasons why she committed suicide. And then these tapes are passed, as you learn in the book, these tapes are passed to the people that she felt directly contributed to her committing suicide. So good. So good, because the people listening to the tapes, it has repercussions on their life and how they see the people around them that are involved in it. Really, really good. Really good. Okay, another good book is called The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. Another Gothic mystery. They're my favorite ones. This book was released in 2006, so quite a while ago I read this. Here's the cover. And the synopsis. Reclusive author Vida Winter, famous for her collection of 12 enchanting stories, has spent the past 6 decades penning a series of alternate lives for herself. Now old and ailing, she is ready to reveal the truth about her extraordinary existence and the past she has kept secret for so long. She calls on a biographer to come so she can tell her story to her. And the story revolves around these twin sisters. Good. Good book. Really, really good. Okay, another book that I loved is called We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. Lionel Shriver is actually a woman. And this was also made into a movie that was really disturbing. The topic of the book is really disturbing. I'm not going to give it away because a family, there's a school shooting, okay? The shooter doesn't die. He's put in jail. And his mother doesn't know how to deal with it. So she writes letters to her husband throughout the entire book, trying to dissect and figure out what went wrong that her son would do something so heinous. When you get to the end of that book, holy crap. Yeah. It's a powerful ending. And the movie was good. It was done really well. I liked it. I really liked the movie. But yeah, it's a difficult topic. The school shootings. Just difficult, and especially what else happens. I mean, yeah, that book stayed with me for a little while after I read that. But I like books like that. I like books that really resonate. Not resonate. I don't know what it's like to be in a school shooting, but you know what I mean. That it just make me think, and they stay with me. I really, really like that. This author also wrote another book called Big Brother, one of my favorite books that year that I was reading, and I'm going to figure out what year that was. 2013. Here is the cover of Big Brother. Okay, this is a story about a brother and sister. The sister is Pandora, which that's an awesome name, let me tell you. They haven't seen each other in years. He wants to come visit. When she picks him up from the airport, he's gigantic. Like 600 pounds gigantic, something like that. So he winds up embarking on an extreme diet. And the sister helps him. And you're cheering for this guy, right? You're cheering for the guy through the whole thing. And I'm not going to give it away. But the ending, another like powerful, shocking ending. Such a good book. I loved it. It's not a gothic mystery or nothing like that. But like I said, just like a family drama. I loved it. And especially because of the topic of weight loss. I've been fighting my weight my whole life, trying to figure out, lose weight. So I really loved the premise of that book, and I think I read it in one day. I just couldn't stop reading it. So really love that author. Okay. The next book is called In the Blood, and I want to say it's by Lisa something. Lisa Unger. Another good book. Read this one in 2014. Mystery and suspense book, because, man, those are my go-to. Yeah. So, the premise of this one. College senior Lana Granger has told so many lies about her past that the truth seems like a distant, cloudy nightmare. But she meets her match when she begins babysitting for an 11-year-old boy. And soon after she takes the job, her best friend disappears. And everyone's got secrets. And when you find out what they are, holy crap. I remember really, really liked that book. I have some really good books that I've read. I'm just trying to go down the list here. Okay. The next book is called How to Be a Good Wife. And when I saw the title, I was like, what the F? Like, really? This book is from 2013. It's by Emma Chapman. Another disturbing book. There's the cover. Okay, here's the premise. Marta and Hector had been married for a long time. Through the good and the bad, they raised a son. She can't remember her life before Hector. He's always taken care of her, and she's always done everything she can to be a good wife. On their wedding day, her mother-in-law gave her this book, How to Be a Good Wife. And throughout the book, it gives you snippets of the book. And it is like archaic stuff, crazy pants stuff, right? But she starts to kind of lose it. Like, things start to happen. She starts to see stuff. And the ending, oh my God. When you find out what is going on, it's not what you think. But I loved, it was like 12 things on how to be a good wife. And of course I was reading the book, and every time I came to a new one, I told my husband. And of course he agreed with them all, jokingly, because no. Read the book. Good book. Good book. Okay, the next book is called The Silent Wife. And this is a pretty recent book. I think I just read this last year. Who's it by? A.S.A. Harrison. Yeah, this was a good book. When did it come out? 2013. Here's the cover. Okay, the premise of this. And I think I read this one pretty quickly. Jody and Todd don't have a good marriage. But they're rich, and so much is at stake. When you're rich and you're getting a divorce, a lot at stake, right? He's a cheater. It's told in alternating voices, too. It's hard to describe the book because the way they describe it is told in alternating voices. The Silent Wife is about a marriage in the throes of dissolution, a couple headed for catastrophe, concessions that can't be made, and promises that won't be kept. Reminiscent of Gone Girl, it says. No. Damn, it's a good book. Because I think she plots to have him killed. Doesn't quite go like that, though. Yeah, it's good. Really, really good. Okay. The next book, there's a couple books I have on here by Leanne Moriarty. The Husband's Secret. Holy crap. That almost was a contender for the best book I've ever read. Here's the premise. And I've told this story so many times to people because I like books that make you say, what would I do in that situation, right? So The Husband's Secret. Husband and wife, they got 2 kids. I think they live overseas. They live in like Australia or something. He has business in the US. He's on a business trip. She goes up in the attic for something and knocks over a box. And when she knocks over a box, a letter falls out that has her name on it, but says, only read in the event of my death. Would you open the letter? What would you do? My ass would be opening it. She opens it. Holy moly. Excellent book. So it goes from the present to the past because the letter's about something that happened in his past. Oh my God, so good. So good. And what I like about Leanne Moriarty's books, because she wrote Big Little Lies too, which was the HBO show, which was also really good. It all wraps up at the end. Like at the end, it tells what really happened. So it makes you almost want to go back to the beginning of the book and read it all over again because now you know how these certain events fell, all happened. If that made sense. Okay. Let's see, what was the next book by her that I read that was really good? Truly Madly Guilty. That was a really good one too. Let me just click on her and it'll bring up all her books. Oh, come on now. Internet. Okay, I read Big Little Lies. Do I have that on here? Yes, I do. It was an HBO show last year. Really good. And it's about the lies that, are told within a marriage. You really don't know what goes on behind closed doors. It's about 3 women, Madeline, Celeste, and Jane. And man, it's a powder keg by the end of that book. Really, really good. Really good. It's about ex-husbands, second wives, mothers and daughters, dealing with your kids in school being bullied. And yeah, it says the dangerous little lies we tell ourselves just to survive. Oh my God, so good. Okay, so the other one that she wrote that I read was Truly Madly Guilty, and that was in 2016. Here's the cover of that. And how it's summed up is it says, sometimes we don't appreciate how extraordinary our ordinary lives are until it's too late. So Sam and Clementine are married. They have 2 girls. They're busy. Clementine is friends with another woman named Erica. And they invite everybody over for a barbecue. Something catastrophic happens at that barbecue. And so they kind of tell it in pieces because the barbecue happens and then 2 months later they fast forward and you're like, well, what the hell happened? And it tells it in like, I think a time sequence, sort of like Big Little Lies does that too. It'll say the night of the party, 1 month before the party, that kind of book. And I like that. It's really good like that. But yeah, it says the Truly Madly Guilty takes on the foundations of our lives: marriage, sex, parenthood, friendship. That pretty much sums it up. Add work in there, right? Yeah, 6 responsible adults, 3 cute kids, 1 small dog. It's just a normal weekend. What could possibly go wrong? Good book. Okay. Another author that I love and I hope I'm going to pronounce her name right. Ania Alborn. She's got a new book out. Gotta look that up. Okay, I have read 2 of her books. She has a couple. My favorite one that I read back in 2012 was called The Neighbors. Here is the cover. You see the little blood dripping off the teapot? Yeah. So, here is the premise. Andrew has sacrificed everything, his childhood, his education, the girl of his dreams, to look after his alcoholic mother. But enough is enough, and now he's determined to get out and live his life. That means trading the home he grew up with. He winds up renting a room in the house of an old friend. The house of the old friend is not in great shape either. Their next door neighbor, it reminds me of like June Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver. They're picture perfect suburban domicile straight out of Norman Rockwell. But there's a darkness, there's a malice there. Something is awry. Holy crap. It's so good. It is so good and creepy and holy crap. That's all I can say is holy crap. And then she also wrote a book called Brother. And this one, this reminded me of like Deliverance or like The Hills Have Eyes. Deeply disturbing. This book is very disturbing and it's graphic. So if you don't like that kind of book, I wouldn't read this. But deep in the heart of Appalachia stands a crooked farmhouse miles from any road. The family keeps to themselves. When girls go missing off the side of the highway, the cops don't knock on their door. 19-year-old Michael Morrow isn't like the rest of his family. He doesn't take pleasure in the screams that echo in the trees. He wants to be normal. And basically his family are serial killers of some sort, right? There's a record shop in town and he meets this girl that he really likes. And man, it's a roller coaster to a bad ending. Bad. It's so good though, but it is really disturbing. The whole book. Yeah. Yeah, but I liked it. I did. I liked it. And sometimes you just like to read that kind of stuff that's not like your life, right? Okay. The next book is Wife 22. And this is not a mystery or anything like that. This is by Melody Gideon. I read this in 2012. I read a lot of books in 2012, didn't I? There's the cover. Okay. It says, Alice has been married to her husband William for nearly 20 years, and she just feels like their marriage is kind of stale. She's invited to participate in an anonymous online survey on marriage and love under the name Wife 22. And someone evaluates her responses, and he's called Researcher 101. And they start to flirt online through emails. And a line starts to be crossed, because it could be very easy to do that if you're not happy in your current marriage, to have that kind of connection with someone. And so it's really good because the ending is a twist. There's a twist to it. And it was so good because it renewed my faith in the human spirit, in love, in marriage, and all of that. Really, really good. Okay, another author I really like is Megan Abbott. She writes young adult books, but they are mystery, suspense, murderous. I have read I've read 3 of her books. The first one I ever read was called Dare Me, again in 2012. 2012 was a busy year for me. Here's the cover. Dare Me by Megan Abbott. It's about cheerleaders and coaches and parents, and bad things happen. Bad things. I could see this book happening. I like books like that. I like books too that are realistic and that you can imagine happening. This would be an awesome movie. Would love to see this turn into a movie. So she wrote that one. And she also wrote one called The Fever. Good God. The Fever in 2014 that I really liked. And I know I wrote that down. Yeah. Okay. Here is the cover of The Fever. So a panic is unleashed by a mystery illness that all these teenage girls start getting, that they're dubbing the fever. And the whole community starts to fall apart. They become hysterical, afraid to touch anybody. But you find out what it really is. Because I was like, you know what? This better be explained at the end of this book. Because that's one thing that I hate. When you read a book and you get to the end and it's not all explained and wrapped up and I have questions, no. Don't leave me with questions. I'm not going to be happy. So yeah, really good. Like that. Okay, this is an older book, which I actually just read not that long ago. Flowers for Algernon. A lot of people probably read it in school. I never did. And it is by Daniel Keyes. Oh my God, this book was heartbreaking. Actually, I read it in 2012, so there's the little mouse. So it's this guy that's mentally challenged. He receives an operation that turns him into a genius. And it totally changes his life. And what I loved about the book was the format. Because the format was written almost in like journal format. But in the beginning, it was written in his persona. So it was written as a mentally challenged adult might write. You have to read between the lines. Things aren't spelled right. It's not grammatically correct. You know what I mean? But when he has this operation and it starts making his brain into a genius, the book improves. Like it gets better and better and better. And oh my God, again, you're cheering for him. You're cheering for this guy to have like this awesome life. Oh my God. I'm not going to give it away, but my heart was broken by the end of this book. But loved it. Loved the book. Yeah. Okay, Chevy Stevens is another author that I really, really love. Okay, Chevy Stevens. She has written a few books, and I've read two that I really, really like, and one that, holy crap. The first one she ever wrote, I read it in 2010. It's called Still Missing. And here's the cover. Okay. Premise of the book. Woman is a realtor. She gets kidnapped at an open house. And when I mean kidnapped, I mean taken to a cabin, and she's kidnapped for like a year. But she escapes. Bad things happen at this cabin. The book tells about it. But what was funny is when I was reading it, she escapes like the middle of the book, and I'm like, still have half of the book left. Oh my God, when you figure out what happens. When you figure out why she was kidnapped and all that, oh my God. Oh my God. So good. So good. And I also read, did I write that one down? That night? I didn't write that one down. Okay, I won't mention that one. She wrote another one called That Night about teenagers who wind up murdering a girl. And one of the girls goes to prison for it, but she didn't actually do it, I think. That was a good book too, but that's Still Missing. Holy crap. Yeah, highly recommend. Okay, another book that I liked. It's called Before I Go to Sleep. And I think this person has written a couple books that I've read. I cannot remember their name. I'll see it in a second. S.J. Watson, that's right. Okay, I think Before I Go to Sleep was made into a movie. So, Before I Go to Sleep, a woman has an accident that makes her have amnesia. She can't remember day to day. So her husband puts up Post-its and everything. But she wants to find out what happened with her accident. She sees the therapist. She starts keeping a journal. Another one that's a collision course to, oh my God, ending. Yeah, really, really good. But yeah, can you imagine going to bed and you know you're going to wake up and you're not going to remember anything that you did that day or anything about your life or anything. Every morning you have to get up. Here's my name. Here's what I do for a living. Here's who I'm married to. I can't even imagine. This person, S.J. Watson, also wrote a book called Second Life, which was fantastic. There's that cover. So, the premise of this one. How well can you really know another person? How far would you go to find the truth? This girl's sister gets murdered. And she goes on a quest to find out why. And it takes her into a really dark place to find out why. So good. So good. So both, those are thrillers, mysteries. Okay, another book is called The Violets of March. And the author of this one is Sarah Geo. This is a mystery too, but not like the other ones I've talked about. This involves a diary. I love books that involve a journal or a diary that takes you into someone's past or you're trying to figure something out. It says, in her 20s, Emily Watson was on top of the world, had a best-selling novel, a husband, one-way ticket to happily ever after. 10 years later, the tide has turned on her good fortune. So her aunt invites her to come spend a month at the beach. And she's researching her next book. This woman's an author. She uncovers a diary dated from 1943. And the diary is connected to her own life. So you get to see pages of the diary and what she winds up figuring out. So good. Again, so good. I know I say that about all these books. There's a reason why I picked all these to tell you about, because they're awesome. Okay, another author I really love is Carol Goodman. I've actually read a lot of her books, but I think I only wrote down one. Arcadia Falls. And I think I wrote this one down because it takes place at a private school. And I just looked, the book's only $4.99 now for Kindle. But yeah, so a mother and her daughter go to upstate New York she's accepted a teaching position at a boarding school. That's what it is, a boarding school. During the first night, one of her students dies. And long-time secrets of this town start to emerge after that girl's death. And the past starts to come into the present. It's so good. Like I said, it's a murder mystery again. Love those kind. But Carol Goodman has written a bunch of good books. So The Ghost Orchid, The Seduction of Water, they're all like gothic mysteries. Love them. But I couldn't talk to you about 300 books. It would be a 4-hour video. Okay, another good author I like is Audrey, is it Niffenegger? Wait a minute, I'm going to look it up. Audrey Niffenegger. She's written 2 books that I really liked. She wrote Her Fearful Symmetry. Holy crap, if this is the book I'm thinking of. Yes, it takes place in London. Why can't I find the description? Okay. The novel opens with the death of a woman in her London flat. She leaves her flat to the twin daughters of her estranged twin sister that lives back in Chicago. These two twins come and live in the apartment, right? And they wind up becoming involved with the aunts. Was it her aunt? The woman that died and left them the apartment, the two twin girls wind up becoming intertwined with all of her friends and her lover and all of that. And it involves the afterlife. Like, there are ghosts in this story, but it's done really good because I'm not much for like exorcism and all that stuff. This is done really good, and man, the ending, good ending. Really, really good. Yeah, they term it a ghost story. That's a good way to put it, because when the woman dies, she like haunts the apartment, but you see why. Oh my God, it's so good. So she also wrote The Time Traveler's Wife, which was a movie. Such a good movie. Eric Bana, and I forget the girl. But the premise of this book, okay, there's a guy that's a time traveler. And it's Claire and Henry. Henry's the time traveler. They've known each other since Henry was 36 and Claire was 6. They were married, though, when Claire was 23 and he was 31. He time travels and sees her in her whole life. And the way that it's done is so good because it's sad. It's sad at the end, but it's done so good, though, time traveling. It makes you want to be able to time travel, but kind of not, because it's sad, the book. But yeah, so good. Okay. What he has is called chronodisplacement disorder. Periodically, his genetic clock resets and he finds himself misplaced in time. And what's funny is whenever he time travels, wherever he goes, he's naked. So he has to get clothes. So the girl, Claire, winds up catching on and she leaves him clothes. So when he comes back, he has stuff to put on. But yeah, the book was done so good. The movie was done so good. I really, really liked the movie. But okay, so we're done one row of books. Okay. A book that I just read very recently was called The Last Mrs. Parrish. And I'm pretty sure I talked about it in one of my previous weekly update videos. But I will talk about it again because it is worth talking about for sure. It's by Liv Constantine. This is the first book that I've read by her, and this was only $4.99 too. Okay. Amber is tired of just having a boring life, living a nobody, being a nobody, all that. She winds up researching this rich guy, moves to their town, befriends his wife, and ingratiates herself into their life. And the husband winds up, I'm not giving anything away, the husband winds up cheating with this girl. I won't tell anything else. The first part of the book is told in this woman, Amber's perspective. So you go through the whole story and you're to the middle of the book and I'm like, I'm only at the middle. The next half of the book is the wife's perspective on the same events. Oh my God, love books like that because it is never what you think. Read that book, people. So good. So good. Reminds me of Behind Closed Doors, which I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes. Okay, yeah, so I love that book. Next book that I read this year was called Best Day Ever. And I know I mentioned that one too. Creepy ass book. By Kyra Ruda. It is a riveting psychological thriller about the perfect marriage. Here's the cover. Husband and wife are going on a weekend trip. The best day ever, right? The best day ever. This is said like 8,000 times in the book. But the husband's off. Something is off about him. And as the book goes on, you see it more and more and more because he starts to crack. And then when you finally figure out what he's trying to do and then what happens, so good. So, so good. Such a good book. Love that one. One of the best books I've read this year is called Final Girls by Riley Sager. I read this book almost in a day. I was staying up all hours of the night reading this. I want to say I read it in 2 days. So, there's a club called Final Girls. And the members of this club have survived a mass killing. Like the title character of the book, her and her friends went to a cabin to celebrate, I forget, somebody's birthday, something. All of her friends got murdered but her. So she's a member of the club, and there's 2 other girls. And they become really popular. Like, it's like a cult thing, right? Not a cult thing. What I mean is, they're like a spectacle. People want to know their story, but they are in hiding. Like, they don't want their story told anymore. They're tired of the notoriety. Well, the girls in this club start getting murdered one by one. And so now the main girl is trying to piece together what's going on, why these girls are getting killed. Oh my God. I totally did not see the ending coming and the resolution, because it starts to tell the story of her story in the cabin, and it does it by time, like 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock, until the end of the book is the end. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so, so good. Loved it. Loved the book. Okay, another good book that I read that Jill recommended is called The Girl Before. Another good mystery suspense. And I don't remember the author. Oh, I think it's J.P. Delaney. This is going to be turned into a movie, and I think it's next year. Can't wait to see this movie. Here's the cover. I know I talked about this in one of my videos. Like I said, every book that I've read this year. So, another one that says it's like Gone Girl. No, you are not. Okay. It is touted as an enthralling psychological thriller that spins one woman's seemingly good fortune and another woman's mysterious fate. There's this apartment that is like futuristic. It's all controlled by a panel in the apartment. There's all these rules for you living there. You can't have furniture and all kinds of weird stuff. It tells the story of the person that previously lived in the apartment and then someone that's currently living in it. And then it starts to go towards the middle to when they meet. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good because you don't know. You think it's this person, but it's not. And then you think it's that person, you're like, no, it's not. Yeah, love those kind of books. Love the kind of books that keep me guessing. Yep, soon to be a major motion picture directed by Ron Howard. And you know how good he is. It's going to be a good book, a good movie. Okay. The next book, which I highly talked about in my videos as I was reading it, and I think I got everybody reading it, Behind Her Eyes by B.A. Paris. Oh my God, this book. No, not B.A. Paris. Wrong one. Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. It's touted as a suspenseful psychological thriller. Yeah, that's putting it mildly. Okay. Louise is a single mom. She befriends Adele. Adele's married to David. David and Adele, they seem like the picture-perfect husband and wife. But something's wrong. And so Louise gets involved in their life. And man, again, hurdles to this catastrophic, unbelievable, holy shit Last chapter, jaw dropping. The last chapter. Let me tell you. That last chapter. Oh my God, did not see it coming. No. So good. Highly recommend. Okay, the next book is called A Suitable Lie. And I want to say it's by Michael somebody. I'm looking. Michael Malone. I have a pretty good memory. Okay, here is the book, the cover. Okay. Andy Boyd is a widower. He has a young child, but then he meets this woman who he thinks is his perfect match. But on their wedding night, he ends up in the hospital. And what it is she's abusive. I won't say any more than that. Holy crap. And, you know, the common thing for domestic abuse is a man beating a woman. It can happen the opposite way. And I think what happens is when it does happen the opposite way, nobody believes the man. Because they're like, you're a man. You should be able to not have your wife beat you, right? Or not. You should be able to defend yourself. Well, just see. You'll read this book. It's almost like if you... There was a TV movie a long, long time ago with Judith Light, and she was abusive to her husband, and nobody believed him. It was such a good movie. But yeah, highly recommend that book. Okay, another book that I read this year that was suitably creepy was called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And it is by, I want to say, Ian Reid. I'm right! Woo-hoo. By Ian Reid. Okay, this boyfriend and girlfriend are traveling to his parents' house for dinner. And the girl wants to break up with him. But as they travel, something's off. Again, a book where something is off. And holy crap, I had to read like one chapter over again to like kind of get it. Oh my God, when you figure out what it is. I don't know how people write books like this. I don't know. Okay, another author that I love is Ruth Wood. No, Ruth Ware. I've been talking a while. My throat's scratchy. Okay. Ruth Ware. She wrote, my favorite book by her was In a Dark, Dark Wood. Have a really good story for that book. And I think I've told that. I'm starting to get hot with my electric blanket here. Okay, here is the cover, In a Dark, Dark Wood. This book is, I think they're also in the UK. You know how we call it a bachelorette party here when, you know, a couple's getting married and the guy has a bachelor party, the woman has a bachelorette party. In the UK, they call it a hen party. So, it's a hen party that goes really, really wrong. This woman is invited, and these people, she hasn't seen them in like 10 years. They were college friends. So she doesn't really know why she's invited, but she goes, and holy crap. Creepy, crazy things start happening. So I have a good story with this one. By this time, my husband and I were in separate bedrooms. My room is in the basement. And when I lay in my bed, the window's up here. Okay, it's like right up here. So I'm reading this book. It's late at night. It's scary. I hear this on the window. Ooh, key. So I just say, forget it. Never mind. Well, it happens like 3 more times and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I go upstairs and I wake my husband up, who has been in bed for like 2 hours because he has to get up at 4:15 in the morning. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody's outside. He actually puts on clothes and shoes and goes out. in the front. We have like bushes out there, and like one of them has like long branches. It was a windy night, and I didn't really realize that. The branches were scratching the window. He was like, oh my God, you're a crazy nutball. Stop fucking reading those books late at night. He was like, stop reading that shit and waking me up. Thinking somebody's coming in the house. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Okay, so Ruth Ware also wrote The Woman in Cabin 10, which I don't have on this list, but which was a good book. This woman goes on a cruise, and she meets this woman that's, I think, next to her in the room. But then she sees someone in that room jump. Wait a minute, let me click on it. I'm like confusing what it's about. Okay. Okay, they say this book is like Agatha Christie. Okay, yeah, she's on a cruise. Oh, she's like a newspaper reporter. She's a journalist, right? So she goes on this cruise because it's the first time this ship is being put into port, and she's going to report on it. She witnesses a woman being thrown overboard. So then she's trying to get to the bottom of that, and she's made to think that she's crazy. She's not, but holy crap, the story. So good. Not as good as A Dark, Dark Wood. A Dark, Dark Wood was really good and creepy and scary. Okay. Behind Closed Doors. I started mentioning that one before, and I told you the wrong author of that book. That is B.A. Paris. I'm pretty sure. Yes. And you know, I happened upon this book by accident, and I love that. I love when I find a book that's so good by accident. Here's the cover. Okay. This woman has a sister that has Down syndrome. She meets this guy. He's Prince Charming. They get married. But you start to see cracks in their marriage. Like, you wonder why the wife never answers the phone, why she doesn't have anything in her purse, why she's skinny as a rail. There's high security shutters on the windows. I mean, so they tell the story of their courtship and their marriage, and oh my holy God. Another one that's like jaw-dropping. Just one more chapter, just one more chapter, just one more chapter, because you cannot stop reading it once you start. Okay. Another good author, and I'm waiting. I usually hate trilogies or series or all that bullshit, but this one by Caroline Kepnes, really good. I'm waiting for the third one to come out. The first one was called You, and it came out in 2014. Here's the cover. Okay. The premise of this, frightening because I think this could happen. There's a guy that works at a bookstore, and he starts to stalk this woman that comes in the bookstore. He becomes obsessed with her. And again, hurtling towards a catastrophic ending. It says, a terrifying exploration of how vulnerable we all are to stalking and manipulation. He's a nut job. I'll just tell you that. And it's creepy. It's creepy as hell. It makes you start looking over my shoulder when I was reading the book. Yeah. Then there was a second book in the series called Hidden Bodies. Oh my God. It just continues right on with his story. Again, so good. There was supposed to be a third book, and I don't know when. I cannot wait to read it. I hope it sums up everything really good. Really, really good. But frightening. Like I said, he's a nut job. Yeah. Okay. Another good book that I talked about just recently. It's called Dangerous Girls by Abigail Haas. This is a young adult book. A group of seniors go to Aruba for a vacation. One of them winds up murdered. One of the other girls that's in the group goes on trial for her murder. And so the whole book, they're telling the story. they're telling the story of the trial, and they're telling the story of the trip to Aruba. And they even go back to when they were in their senior year of high school before they go on this trip. So it's converging, like the story. And throughout the whole book, you're questioning, did she do it? No, she didn't do it. Yeah, she did it. No, she didn't do it. Until the last page. You do not know what truly happens until the last page. Holy shit, people. Yeah. See, this is why I love reading. I love reading because you can just go into so many different worlds and learn different things. And man, if I ever wanted to kill somebody and hide their body, I think I'd know how to do it. Or like, if I ever wanted to kill my husband. No, I'm joking completely. But these books give you ideas. Yeah. And you think how there's some screwed up people walking around that write these books. Because how do you write this book and then, oh, la-di-da, tell my husband, oh, yeah, I'm writing a book about how to kill my husband. No. But yeah, okay. Another good author, Tana French. I have only read 2 of her books. The first one I read, which I absolutely loved, Faithful Place. And I think that was her first book. No, it wasn't. It was her 3rd book. So, Faithful Place. In 1985, this guy, Frank, was 19 years old. They live in this small town. He was supposed to run away with his girlfriend, and they were supposed to meet at this abandoned house, and she never showed up. So, fast forward, does it say how many years? I want to say it's like 20 years. 22 years later, the girl's suitcase shows up. Now, he's a cop. He's a cop by this time. So 22 years later, her suitcase shows up, buried in the house where they were supposed to meet. So now it's a murder mystery because now they're looking for her body and what happened. Holy moly. Because now he's the detective on the case. So good. So good. And just heartbreaking. Again, heartbreaking story by the end of it. But yeah, really, really good. And she also wrote another book that I liked called The Secret Place. This is about a boarding school, a murder at a boarding school. And that's pretty much all I have to... Well, okay. At the boarding school, there's an anonymous gossip board where you can put things up there. You don't have to sign your name to it. Someone puts a card up there that says, I know who killed him. Meaning the murder. Because it's a boys and girls. They have wings, I think. Oh, no. Okay, there's a boys' school down the road from a girls' school. A popular boy was killed at the girls' school. So then there's an investigation. Really good. Yeah. Some screwed up teenagers. Yeah, but really good. Okay, of course, one of my favorite books was Girl on a Train. The Girl on the Train. Or is it Girl on a Train? We're going to find out because I wrote The Girl on the Train, but it is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Okay, here's the cover. I realize I've been showing you all the covers. Here's the cover. We all know this book. This has been so popular because of the movie that came out. I went to the drive-in with my husband to see this movie. Liked the movie, but I think I would have liked it better if I did not read the book. So, the premise of the book. There's a woman that's an alcoholic. She rides the train every day to work. In fact, she got fired though, but she still rides the train to make her roommate think she still has a job. She becomes obsessed with this couple she sees on their back deck. One day she sees the wife hugging and kissing on someone that's not the husband. And then the next day the woman's not there. So she becomes obsessed with finding out what happened to the woman. Did she disappear? What's going on? Oh my God. Oh my God, what a twisty-turny, good story. Creepy. Again, a creepy one. Okay, I was looking at the time. We're almost at the end. Okay, another author that I like is Courtney, I want to say it's Courtney Rubin. She writes young adult books. Courtney Summers, I'm sorry. Courtney Rubin is an author, I think. I think she's a blogger. Okay, the first book I ever read by Courtney Summers is called All the Rage. Wait a minute, there was another one. And I didn't write it down. There was another one that I read of hers that was good. I forget. These Girls? Something like that. Okay. This girl... Okay, let me just try to read the synopsis because it's hard. Okay. The novel examines the shame and silence inflicted upon young women in a culture that refuses to protect them. It's about assault, rape, about a popular kid that doesn't, that seems to be the premise. If a popular kid commits rape or an assault, it can be covered up by the town if the town is small or whatever. That's what happens in this one because the sheriff's son of this town is the one who is accused of assaulting this other girl. Yeah, someone goes missing. So, yeah, I know there was another one by her. Yeah, okay, there was. Some Girls Are. That was the second book I read. Very good book. But the first book, Some Girls Are, and it was about bullying. It's a new tale of high school rivalry in which vicious rumors and nasty tricks are the currency that buys you popularity or seals your fate at the bottom of the food chain. So it is about how one girl was in the popular group but is ousted, and boy, man, they inflict some bullshit on her. Really good, though. Really, really good. Okay, we only got 4 more books. The Other Typist. This book I have a problem with. Who wrote this book? Suzanne Rindle. Let me show you the cover. Okay. This takes place back in, I want to say Prohibition days, 1920s. Rose Baker is a typist at a police force. There is, oh, wait a minute. Okay. A new typist joins the typing pool. This woman becomes friends with her, becomes obsessed with her. They start going out to nightclubs. She's doing all this stuff that she normally didn't do. Again, hurtling to a catastrophic conclusion. Now, okay. My problem with this book is the ending. Because it's not summed up. Like I said before, if it's not explained or if I have questions and I have to go online to say what's the meaning of the ending of blah, 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 I'm not happy. And there's no conclusion. Like the author left it open-ended on purpose. So if anybody's read this book, message me and tell me what you think was the meaning of the ending. But still a good book. Still really enjoyed it. But man, has that book gotten some controversy. Meaning, it's been talked about. Let me tell you. Okay, another good book that I read a long, long time ago. It's called Neighborhood Watch. And I don't remember who it's by because I read it so long ago. I want to say it's Cammie something. Cammie McGovern. I knew it was Cammie something. Okay. Yeah, I read this in 2010. So, okay, there's the cover. All right, so the premise. 12 years ago, this woman was convicted of murdering her neighbor. She returns, she's exonerated, right? DNA testing exonerates her. She returns to her community to find the true killer. Right away, you had me. You had me at that, because that means somebody set your ass up. So she begins to pick apart the web of secrets and lies that this whole neighborhood has. Holy crap. Again, another holy crap book. So good. So, so good. Because let's face it, if you were in her shoes, you'd probably be doing the same damn thing. You'd be like, okay, I'm going to find out who did it for real. You know you would. Okay. Another good young adult book by Lauren Oliver called Before I Fall. And I think this was made into a movie. She wrote another book too that I don't have on this list. Okay, I read this in 2010. I like time travel books, sort of. Like, I like the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Okay. High school senior Samantha Kingston dies in a terrible accident. However, she wakes up the next morning. In fact, she lives this last day of her life 7 times until she realizes that if she makes a change, she changes the future, right? Oh yeah, it says it now a major motion picture. Why have I not seen this movie? I'm going to have to see this movie. Okay. Yeah, really good. Really, really good, because, you know, she starts to look at how she acted and treated people. And I think we can probably all do a little bit of that, right? We can all be better. We can always be better people. I'm sorry, I keep looking up at my security cameras because it's like 10:30 at night here. Yeah. Okay, the last book that I have to talk about, and holy moly, this video is over an hour long. It is called Every Last One by Anna Quinlan. Oh my God, this book. This book is another heartbreaking book. Here's the cover. Trying to think, how do I tell you about the book without giving it away? Okay, husband and wife, 3 teenage children. One of the children become depressed, one of her sons. And the family is blindsided by a shocking act of violence. That's all I'm going to say. You have to read it. Oh my God, when I read it, I was thinking, what would I do if that was me? I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how the mother in this story went on with her life. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. So good. So, so good. So, that was quite a long video, wasn't it? I knew it was going to be long, me telling you about 45 books. I hope you guys enjoyed it, though. And I hope I gave you a lot of good suggestions for some good books to read. I haven't read a book in a couple weeks. I need to find a new one to read. But that's it. That's it for today's video, guys. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.